everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again for this new episode on our Heart to Heart series. As everyone knows, this is where we chat with people we think that all of our families should know. People that when I engage with them, I always think, oh my gosh, these everybody should know who this is. And so it's such an honor to be able to be chatting today, everyone, with Drew Smith. He's someone who makes a real difference in people's lives. He's with Trinity Solutions. He has a simple but powerful mission. He helps good people with bad credit buy homes. And, he has years of experience in credit education, real estate strategy, client empowerment. Drew doesn't just talk about transformation, he lives it. And what I was seeing that at Trinity Solutions, you work with individuals and families who've been told no, and you've been telling them a path to yes and helping them rebuild what they need help with to get that home ownership. And so, Drew, I am so honored that you've been able to spend this time with us and that we can get to know you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to get to talk with you, Christine.
Absolutely. So I guess what I'd love to see, and when I first met you and you were telling me what you do, I felt that, my goodness, I don't know anybody else in your industry. And the idea that, when we meet with families and they want to buy that dream home, and if they do have that credit issue, sometimes I've always seen them saying, like, I guess I have to wait. And then that was the end of it. And then
Mhm.
I met you and you were like, well, I come up with solutions and things. And I felt that was so good and I loved it. So Drew, tell me more about what you do and what drives you.
What do I do? I yell at people for a living. That's what I've done for the last 25 years of my life. I yell at people about their bills. No, what do I do? It's real simple. I try to take a complicated situation, break it down, educate, motivate, and negotiate for people so that they can get to, the goals that they're looking to be in life. I believe everybody should get a
Ah,
second chance at finance. Everything I do rhymes, Christine. You're gonna find that out. But no, everybody needs to have some sort of ability to have their credit straight. It opens the doors, gets them into home ownership, and opens up a lot of other positive paths in their lives. So that's my calling.
I love that. I was curious though, what drove you to this position, to doing this? What made you decide to take this route?
I mean, doesn't every little boy grow up wanting to deal with bill collectors for a living? I thought that's how it was. No. Well, it's kind of funny. I got into this path because I started out as a bill collector way, 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 way long time ago when my hair was nice and black and I was very thin. I ran collection agencies since the early 90s. We opened up, collection agencies in Jamaica in '99. We were, that was my path for a very long time. But
Wow.
it's stressful yelling at people. I don't know if you noticed, but it's hard collecting from people all the time. So I had a client actually. I won't obviously not name the world. We can't name names, but relatively prominent NBA athlete that opened up a business, got into a problem, borrowed some money, didn't know how it happened, so on and so forth. And he asked me to intercede. Can you please do something? Can you help me? Sure. I picked up the phone and did a little negotiation for him. Saved him about $50,000 and saved his credit, kept him from having to go to a bankruptcy. Um, the overwhelming thank yous that I received from that versus the horrendous hangups, don't call me backs, was a much better feeling, so to speak. So, word got out that I could do things to help people, and you know, an opportunity was formed, I guess. Word got
That's
about me.
fantastic. And
So,
what I think, with your line of work and how you help people, it's one thing to help them financially find a path, Drew, but I'm pretty sure that there's this mental weight that you definitely help them. Do you notice a difference when you chat with people when they first talk to you and then we
of
start to
course,
find solutions?
of course, there is. Matter of fact, that's one of the things that I say that I do. I take the weight off your shoulders. You have an issue where you don't know. When someone doesn't know, you're sitting up at night, you're fretting. Worry doesn't solve anything. Action does. So
Yeah.
when someone comes to me, I think this is something that sets us apart. Over the last 8 years, every single person that's walked into this office or on the phone or has been referred, first off, they've all been referrals. Everyone that's come here is because someone thought kindly enough of them to send them to me. And I take that to heart. So I
That's
give everyone that exact same, I want everybody to have the exact same feeling. I speak with every single client that's come through this office.
so
And what we
true.
do on that first phone call is we draw out a way. We give them the path. Here's your problem. This. Here's how we solve it. This. My job is I'm going to do this, and your job is going to do that. I coach them. All right. I give them the exact play by play that they need to do. And a lot of it's education. If you don't know how to play the game, so to speak, but you're going to fail at it. A lot of these people just need a little tweak and a little education, and then they're able to walk the right path. So that's what I like to pride myself in doing.
I love that because you're right. One of the biggest, origins of anxiety is the unknown,
Right.
and action, lack of action, because that 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, wake up and then your head starts thinking of things, and then you're down that rabbit hole of really bad things. And when you don't have the answers, it just keeps magnifying and magnifying, and it's almost paralyzing, what to do.
Exactly. How many
And
times have you heard that before? I didn't know what to do, so I didn't do anything. Well, that's the worst thing you can do is nothing.
oh,
So yeah, no, you're
that's
right.
that is actually huge. The worst that you can be doing is nothing.
Mhm.
That's really huge because I think it's the easier path not to do anything, but that makes it so challenging because it just gets worse, right?
100%.
So, when you're helping people with credit,
Mhm.
and I love the idea that, I guess, do a lot of your clients come to you with the purpose of the goal of buying a home, Drew?
I'd say about 85% of my business is people looking to buy homes. And like I said, that's because, as I said, most of my business is referral business. Lenders, realtors, people in the industry that know, hey, you have a credit problem. All right, this is the guy that's gonna walk you through it. So the vast majority of the people that get sent to me, yeah, it's to buy a home. And because I deal with them, I know what your credit profile needs to look like specifically to get you into whatever product. You want to get an FHA, great. I know we got to get your report to look like this. Conventional needs to look like this. I'm trying to do 203K. I want to buy the block. Oh, okay. Well, we got to make sure that this, and this are in order before we can send you out for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So when people come to you and they're having trouble buying a home, I
Mhm.
love the idea that you're there for education. What would be something you can tell a person who's starting out who decided, I think it's time. I want to buy a home.
Right.
What are the things that you take under criteria to help?
Okay. Everybody, especially the babies, the first time home buyers, I tell everybody, here's what I do. Make it simple. Think like you're the bank. You're the bank now. You're not asking for money. You're the bank. All the bank cares about really are three C's. Okay. They care about they care about, all right, let's see. Do you owe everybody? Are you current on everything? Let's think about it. You want someone to give you $500,000 for a home. Do you think, would you give you $500,000 if you're 30 days late on the car? Probably not. So let's not be that person. Let's be current on everything, right? Okay, great. You're current on everything. Let's go to the next C. Let's look at your credit card utilization. Why? Because that's how they're judging you. They want to know, Drew, why do you need to have your credit card almost maxed out? Do you not know how to pay off a bill? Why do you need to lean on your credit so often just to get by? Something's going on there. Are you living within your means? Well, obviously, if that's what they're judging you on, my job's to make sure that you look like you know what's going on. Let's pay those cards down. Let's get those points added back to your credit report. Okay. And the third thing, collections. Would you give you $500,000 if the last 10 people that gave you money you kind of walked away from? Probably not. So let's make sure we handle that to make sure that you look like the greatest risk possible. You're a great person. Your credit cards are in order. You paid everybody and you're on time with everything. Let's give you the world. That's the basics. Think like the bank, handle those three C's, and you will not have a single problem. Okay. That's what
Wow.
I break it down easily.
Oh, I love that. 3 C's.
The
That's
three
good.
C's.
That's great. That
Yeah,
is really good.
I'm
So,
copywriting that.
uh, so then, they'll work on that. And I guess what they're working on is to get what they call a decent credit score, right? So I'm curious, what is a credit score comprised of, Drew? Like, how do, you see these numbers, but what does it mean?
I always tell everybody, don't even be too concerned with the numbers. The number, everyone, like, be concerned with the data on your credit
Mm,
profile. All right. It's not just a score, it's your whole profile. And that's what I like to bring to folks. What is your credit score made up of? All right. It's basically five different things. And basically it all can builds up those C's if you think about it. All it is a mathematical thing. They take 35% of it, it's based off of your credit history, basically a ratio of all your on time versus missed payments. Simple. How do you fix that? Pay everything on time. Great, done. All right. Second thing is 30% is based off of your credit utilization. That's why that's the second C. They want to make sure that your credit cards are paid down. When you're house hunting, I want to see your utilization under 10% if possible. That's the best way. All right. The third thing that they're looking at, all right, is credit mix. All right. All your credit scores measure of how risky you are. Okay. So, Christine, me and you,
mhm.
all I have are credit cards. That's it. I've got 40 credit cards. I do have 40 credit cards. It's terrifying. But anyway, all I have is credit cards. So when you look on my report, you can see that I know how to pay credit cards. Well, all right. Well, Christine, you've got a mortgage, you've got credit cards, you're
Right,
paying a car note, you've got some school loans. You're showing that you've been able to pay a bunch of different things, right?
right.
So
Yeah.
who's riskier? Me
Mm,
that only knows how to do one thing, or you that's shown that you've mastered a few?
got it. Oh,
So
that's
that's
really
why
good.
we want to make sure, and that's why we talk about profile. We want to make sure you have a full profile with many different varied types of credit. Okay.
It's basically you're telling a story, right? I'm trying to
That's
tell you a story of me
yeah,
to an institution who's trying to see, should I take the risk on you, basically.
exactly. Exactly. That's they don't know you as a person. They say Drew might be a great guy, but they don't know me. They have to go by the numbers. So we try to build a profile for you where you touch all the right data points. Okay.
That's huge. Now,
Those are the big three. Yeah.
and that sounds to me, the way you talk is definitely a person who has so much experience because you broke it down simply. You really did. And that's so uplifting for a lot of people who are anxious. And, especially the way the market's been going lately, there's a lot of competition out there. I mean, I'm sure you've seen it, right, Drew? Like, how does that affect you, the way the economy is and things like that?
I almost hate to say it. So I normally I don't. The economy, yes, it does affect us greatly. When the economy is going great, my business goes great. Why? Because people have a lot of money and they want to pay their bills. So they come to me, Drew, let's get rid of that old stuff. Super, I got it. Well, when the economy is doing not so well, business is also good because now people unfortunately fall back on bills and so on and so forth. All I have to say are the student loan issues that are coming up now with our new regime. Now that's creating a lot of issues for people,
Yeah.
but it also gives me some problems that I can help solve for them as well. Okay,
Yeah.
so no matter which way the economy goes, I chose a pretty good industry, I guess, or a good
I think
industry
so
chose me.
too. Yeah, because people always need your help, whether it's up or down. So as you're helping people, has there been a couple of, myths about credit that usually stop people from buying a home and that you'd like to bust?
Sure. I need to have a 750 credit score to buy a house. I
Uh-huh.
need to have 20% down to buy a house. I can't. I can't. That's the bottom line. I can't. I need to have a ton of money to as far as down. There are
Yeah.
so many programs. There are so many things out there now about the only thing that stops someone from being able to buy. It used to be when this was black. It used to be was cash and credit.
Yeah.
Now, the only issue that holds you back, in my mind, is education. Because if you just know where the products are, you're going to be able to buy something. All right. Down payment, FHA type of down payments take away the 20%. You can get into a house with 3%, 3.5. Okay. So you don't need to have 60, 70 grand anymore to get into a property. All right. I'm in scenic Trenton, New Jersey. Okay.
Mhm.
I don't know if you know the values of homes in Trenton, New Jersey, but
No, I don't.
they're not extremely high.
Okay.
You're hard pressed to find a $300,000 house here in the city. If we're able to get down payment assistance for you and stack some grants, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, that's going to cover what you need to get into that house.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
happy when we have closings here. I'm delighted that we see people come in and out $1,000, $2,000. Now, it's ridiculous to see. All
Yeah.
right. So don't let the fear that, oh, I need some huge amount of money. Get your credit straight. Let that open the doors and see what type of programs are available for you. Okay.
I I love that because
Yeah.
that is a big deal. I always hear that, especially, so on the other side of my practice is with real estate.
Mhm.
And if we're representing a homeowner who's selling, and sometimes they don't want to use realtors and things like that, so we're handling it. The first thing they tell me is that, Chris, I'm going to ask for this percentage down because I heard that's how it should be.
Mhm.
And I'm always like, it has many variables. And now that I hear what you're saying.
Like you can ask for that, sure, but you might want to move that property. But yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Any other myths that maybe I love that with the credit score? That's
All
huge.
right. Credit score. I run into credit score myths all the time. Mr. Drew, I hear that once an account goes to collections, I don't owe it anymore. Well, no, that's not true. Mr. Drew,
Oh,
they sold it to portfolio recovery. That means it falls off my. No, no, that's not true either. There's chains of sale. And I have to. TikTok does a lot of good and it does a lot of bad. It gives you a lot of half truths, I guess. And I'm always happy to correct and to say, well, yeah, it had that much truth in it, but here's the whole picture. Okay,
oh
so
goodness.
yeah, there's
That's
a ton of stuff out there.
so
Um,
curious, when you have someone that, again, who's starting out, but maybe they know already that their credit, like, oh, I'm gonna need help. It's gonna be a struggle. They're thinking there might be a struggle. Is there a small habit that you can tell people to start to look at that really has, makes a big difference when rebuilding their credit?
sure. Well, first thing is you got to know what's on your credit. So I always advise everybody have some type of way of looking at your credit score. I don't even care if it's Credit Karma. Everybody says, oh, it's Credit Karma is terrible. It's not terrible. It shows you the basics, which is what you need to start out. Okay. Don't believe the score. Don't believe this and that. Don't go clicking on every credit card it shows you. But using it as a free tool just to look, it's fine. All right. It's right on your phone. Everybody loves apps nowadays. So yeah, great. At least it's in your face. You have to be able to see it. The best things to do if you're starting out is understand, like I said, I go back to those three C's. If you can understand that at that simple basic letter level, that's going to let you know how to walk in the world. I need to make sure that I pay my accounts on time. Okay, great. How do I do that? Set everything up on auto pay. You're never going to miss a payment. I have to make sure that I have some type of credit profile for them to judge me on. Well, my credit score is not good enough to get a Amex yet. Well, what can I do? Well, maybe we start out with a secured card. You don't need to get some fancy one from the app. You can go to your bank and get a secured card directly from someone that you know and trust. Perfect.
That's
What's the
perfect.
best way of dealing with it? Well, I know they're going to judge me on how much I use of it. Maybe I should keep the balance of it low. Why? Because that's what Drew said about the C's. Just knowing those basic, simple terms or
Yeah.
simple things will get you started. I have
Yeah.
folks that come in with nothing. I give them two secured cards and I give them something, self lender. That's another one. That's one of my favorites. I give them those two things and say, see me in 60 days. They come back and I'm pulling a 600 score. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, because you listened and you gave them something basic for them to look at. Now, you got to build a profile around that, but at least it starts them from the beginning. All right.
Absolutely.
Take simple steps, stay disciplined, know what you're trying to do, and you won't have any issues.
I love that.
Yep.
And I still remember when I first got my first credit card. I was in college, and you would go into campus, and I went to Rutgers, and it was like probably one of the first weeks
Are
that,
you?
are you?
There you go.
And there were kids with tables. Hey, you want a free t-shirt? Sign up for his credit card. Oh, hey, you want this they didn't have, how it's so big now, these water bottles. We didn't have
Yeah.
those there, but it was always a t-shirt, hat. So, you're a college kid. I didn't have anything. I was just like, I want a t-shirt, I want a hat. So you sign up and then you get a credit card. And sadly, they didn't, no one, even my own parents, they'd be like, oh, okay. Like no one really told you things that you're sharing, Drew. And I think there's still a lot that has to be learned. I'm hearing
Right.
now schools are incorporating financial literacy, which is
Good.
amazing. Amazing. But sadly, for a lot of us who are in the game for a while, we have our own habits that we are misconceptions. So you've been busting a lot of it right now that I'm like, oh yeah, those are things I would have thought of too, quite honestly.
No, it's super funny you say that. I got my the New Brunswick campus.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Yep,
I'll
that's
tell you
right.
what. I got my
College Ave.
there you go. I got my first credit card ever. It
Yeah.
was raining and I was in the dining hall and I was coming out and I didn't want to get wet. They were giving away umbrellas and I got a Sears card. A Sears card. And for that Sears that was right on Route 18 when you came down there.
Ah, yes, I know that, Sears.
Oh my God, that was ridiculous. But yeah, that's super funny. That's how a lot of kids start out. And by the time they get out of school, they're doing mistakes that 18, 19, 20-year kids do. And now it's time to fix it. So how do you fix it? Don't get into that trouble in the beginning, you know? And a lot of
Yes.
times, yeah, you get on something. A lot of times even the folks may not know exactly what to give to the kids. So I've got 4 kids. I've got 2 daughters that are graduating from King this year, coming back home to my house. Oh no. But the first thing we did was I made sure when they went into school, we got them set up right. We made them authorized users. We got them their own lines of credit. So now when they graduate, it's time for grad school. You don't have to ask me for anything. No, that's not the case. But their profile is set. Why? Because I knew to set it up. So a lot of what we need to do, I'm getting a little off tangent. I'm trying to get people in the
No,
houses.
but great.
What we need to know as parents is we have to know some credit so that we can pass that down to the next generation and so that they can start out without having digging a
I
hole, so to
I
speak.
really agree with that, Drew, because I do feel that a lot of our understanding and education about money starts with the family.
Of
And,
course.
because it's a weird thing, there are families that say, like, will have these myths, money's the root of all evil, money doesn't grow on trees. So it creates a certain type of mindset. And
Mhm.
whether it's right or wrong, it's what you live with. And then you come to reality with certain things where you're just like, oh wait, but I need to do I may need to make a living. I need to buy a house, and maybe I need to expand my thinking. So, the way you are educating your children is huge, and I think that's hard though. It is hard for parents because we are only building on what we know and what we learned.
You
So
only
you must
teach
have
what
had a
you
good
know.
background, you know.
I grew up in a household with, yeah, I'm 54. So and my parents are 1,000 or we're 1,000 years old. So they came up in a time where you kept your money, you kept it like this. And, credit wasn't what was talked about in the household. I had to learn this when I got out into the world. All right. Um, yeah, I can definitely remember there. I think the first thing they got on credit was a TV set or something, and it probably was from Sears. That's why I was so happy to get a Sears card.
Yes.
So they weren't credit wise. This is things that I had to learn in life, and what a lot of credit people won't tell you is, yeah, I was probably one of my first clients. All right, I had to go through. I had to learn myself on what works to fix your credit. So
Oh, that's
once we
huge
got it
because
figured out, now you can preach and teach the self to others.
there it is. So you not only talk the talk, but you walk the walk.
I had
That's
to.
really
Yep.
it. I love it. So, you know, that's really one of the big things I'm thinking that makes you different from anybody else who may be doing this, because you were there. You know
I
exactly what they're going through.
that's yeah. If you ask what makes us different, I've been on both ends of the phone. I've had, I won't be funny about it, but I've had great credit. I've had crap credit. I know what it takes to fix it, how to maintain it, how to grow it. I know how to be the good guy to save you and help you, be the nice, friendly, cuddly, let's get your credit built guy. I also know the guy that I used to sue people for a living. So I've been on both ends of the spectrum. Anything that you're dealing with in a debt situation, I've had my hands in it. So
Yeah.
when I'm talking to people, it's not as if I'm pulling something out of the air. I'm telling you what's happened in real life and in real practices. So,
Yeah.
that's why everything's a story with me. I got a story
I
for
love
everything.
it.
So,
Is there anything that you can tell someone who might be listening to this, Drew, who is just feeling bad about themselves? Because, I know a lot of times we internalize these things,
mhm.
and I do know people who, they're just down on that. Like they take this very, very, very personally, and they feel there's no way out. And mentally and emotionally, they're down. Is there anything that you might want to tell them?
Wow, yeah, a lot of what it's weird. A lot of what we do during these initial consultations, and not just the initial consultations, 3 consultations later when something doesn't work out right. A lot of what we're doing is walking you off the cliff, so to speak.
Yeah.
A lot of it is right here. When you've been doing something for so long, your spending patterns or you're locked into it. A lot of what we do here between myself and my staff is we're coaching. All right. We're coaching you. Anybody can learn credit. Anybody can do that. The rules are the rules. But getting you to where your mindset understands why you have to do X, Y, and Z, that's what really makes it work. People thank me, oh, Drew, appreciate that. No, you did it. No one fixes your credit. You're going to fix your credit. We're fixing you, maybe. Maybe we're giving you some guidance. There's no, I can never do it. It won't happen. My credit's, no. The second you throw your hands up is the second you lose the game. Understand what steps you need to take. Realize you're going to have some, I call them peanut butter and jelly months. All right. You're going to have to live small a little bit while you're getting yourself prepared so that you can live big, so you can really step into what you're going to do in life. All right.
Yes.
That's a large, 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 large portion of
Yes.
every call that we make because we've got to tweak you to let you know that yes, you can buy that house. You can get out of that 1984 Pinto or whatever it is you're driving. You can do the investments. You can turn your score around. All right. You just have to know how and have the focus and and wherewithal to do it. All right.
I
And you
love that.
can. Everybody can. Everybody can.
You're basically telling them you can do this. You can do this. And with
Exactly.
the right guidance and coaching, especially from you and your team, it's possible,
Yep.
Someone had told me this and I liked this. I had a conversation with one of the attorneys in my office, and she said that when she was in law school, she had these big goals, but then she said she would also tell herself, I don't know. And she was with a friend whose father was very, very successful. And she goes, this is what my dad always said. Why not us? Why are we counting ourselves out? Why don't you say you want to be that kind of person? Why not us? And I love that.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one of the things that I hear that you're telling people who call you saying it can happen. Why not? Why not you? Let's do it, It's
I
good.
have clients that originally came to me in the fours. My old tagline used to be, "I'll take you from the fours and get you in the doors." It's a little corny,
Oh,
but it
I
was.
love that.
I liked it. You're free to have it. I don't use it anymore. But he started out in the fours. We had a couple of good conversations, and his problems were just little tweaks. You need to pay this. You need to take care of this. I'll yell at this person for you. We get him into the high sixes. Okay, great. He goes out and he buys a property. Awesome. What do properties do? The values go up. So now he's got more money. Now he's able to pay off a few more things. Now he's rock solid, and he uses that money to buy other. I won't say it. Obviously, I can't say it. Maybe you'll hear this conversation. That person is truly buying the block now. He's got 4 properties in this point in time, and each property is just putting more and more money into building his family's lifeline there. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
family's legacy.
yeah, that's exactly, yeah, it's building your legacy. And it all started with a guy that had I remember it was a 479. It was a 479 score. And now you see this guy walking around, you never know. You never know. And he'll pops in every now and again. Drew, I appreciate you. Nah,
Oh,
you did it. You did it. You just followed directions. That's
oh,
it. You did
this
it.
is great.
So it can happen. If it can happen for him, it can happen for anybody. You just
Oh.
have to have the focus and know
I
exactly
love this.
what you're
Oh,
doing.
this is so good, Drew. Thank you. So,
Thank you
everyone,
for having me.
this was a great conversation with Drew Smith of Trinity Solutions. Drew, what is the best way people can reach you? And we're going to put all of your information when we have this. It's going to be in here. But if you want to chat with everyone, say right now, what your phone number, everything. What's the best way they can reach you?
I'm the easiest guy to find. All right. First and foremost, you know what sets me apart? You see what's behind me? This is our office. It's a walk-in office. I have people walking off the street all the time, which is something interesting. You don't want your credit guy to be someone in the ether, out in the internet somewhere. You can't grab a hold of them. For walk-in clients, if you happen to be near or dear to Trenton, New Jersey, our office is at 1009 North Olden, scenic Trenton, New Jersey. If we need to make a phone consultation, which is what most of my stuff is, the office number I have to look at is 888 391 3387. To the people that you are experiencing, Christine, I love and I appreciate you. I know your circle. Anyone that wants an actual specific call with me, myself, my direct number, 609 422 0976. You want to email me? Sure. Drew at Trinity Solutions USA. Okay. And if you want to go snooping around on our websites and what have you, I think we have a Facebook page. Yeah, Trinity Solutions .com, I believe. So there's everywhere. I'm not hard to find. I'm on all your socials. There you go.
I love it. I love it. Drew, thank you again. Thank you so much for your time. And everyone, I think, you walk away here. I feel like I went to church. I love this. This was so good that I feel, so inspired. But I also feel that people who listen to this is going to feel invigorated and feel good about themselves because I think, a lot of this, it's so strange. Money, credit scores, people internalize this. I internalize it. And it's not your worth. I always tell people that number is not who you are, but you do have to take action and you do have to call Drew. That's really how it should go down. So, Drew, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate everything. And everyone, thank you so much for listening to this latest episode of our Heart to Heart series. Drew Smith, everybody. Thank you.